Sheer adventurism is driving me to go deep into the Onyama mines. It is the biggest coal mine in the whole of South. Well, the coronation of the new Oni is a watershed in the history of the Yoruba land generally, and Ife in particular. Now, because they have a leader now, that will... Simply put, Gura is a beautiful countryside with awesome landscapes. If something differently would be done to the Nigerian textile industries, that our youth will be employed. Only the people that attend the church here can tell you.
Service in Holy Arosa is in Benin.
We are taking a canoe tour of the communities on the bank of River Niger in Kesu. It is the day we visit Ajaokuta Integrated Steel Plant. The picture we see is of an industrial colossus, a giant that can spring surprises, and it is on the path of surprises. It is good morning, Ajaokuta, where the springs are rolling 24 hours a day non-stop. Actually, Nigeria's dream of diversification has never found a better expression than an Ajaokuta Integrated Steel Plant. It was a beautiful dream, which gradually was turning into a nightmare. Mercifully, things are changing over time, and that nightmare is now coming back and become a very, very beautiful dream. A beautiful dream that is transforming lives, changing the way things are done. For every nation, steel plant is the bedrock for industrialization. And globally, the maxim remains that no steel, no industrialization.
It is an hub for training of your technical staff, and it's also a hub for employment.
At one time in its life, Nigeria has thought deep and hard about its industrial future. Good counsel prevailed, and Ajaokuta Integrated Steel Plant is born.
The concept of wanting to have a steel plant started with our forefathers as far back as 1958, in which they approached the Western world to see whether there's a feasibility of having a steel plant. Of course, we approached the Western world first, and they came and did some study and said it may be impossible for us to have steel. But we eventually approached the Eastern world, precisely the then Soviet Union, which now told us and did an elaborate survey, especially for the raw material, and told us that it is possible for us to build a steel plant. And then our forefathers started talking with them. By the late 70s, they have employed the Soviet Union to do a DPR, that's detailed project report on the steel plant, which they did. And it is a study of that DPR, having been convinced that we can have a steel plant, that make us to go full force into the construction of this steel plant in 1981.
This is the model of the steel plant as it is today. It has 800 hectares of land itself. Within it are 58 kilometers of road networks and 57 kilometers of rail lines. Ajaokuta has 24 kilometers of underground cable tunnels, conveying cable to every area of need. It is just amazing, however, why do Nigeria's past leaders choose Ajaokuta for the siting of this ambitious project? Could its centrality in the nation's geographical map be a factor? Mr. Suru thinks there is more to it.
Majorly, most of the raw material that we need to make steel is within 80-kilometer radius of this place.
Of this Ajaokuta?
Of this Ajaokuta. I will mention that now. And of course, the river that we need, this is River Niger bounding us by the east, is there. And you know River Niger is the biggest river in Nigeria, supplying, because a steel plant needs a lot of water. So water is not a problem. The raw material we need majorly is the iron ore concentrate, iron ore, and it is situated just 66 kilometers away from here in Itape, where we call Itape.
In industrial quantity?
In commercial quantity, industrial quantity. The limestone is there within the same Kogi in Jakura. Jakura is just near to Obajana. The bauxite that we need, again, is situated in Edo State here, which is just very near to us. And coke is the only material that is not readily available in Nigeria, which we may need to import.
As it stands today, Ajaokuta has 43 plant units, 40 of which are completed. Each of these 40 plants can stand on its own to be like a company with the every necessity that a company ideally should have.
It's the biggest industrial layout in one place, in one place.
The big story now is that Ajaokuta is in a pleasant transition. The now federal government is making a brave foray to reignite it. This is the man that is given that responsibility to initiate the changes needed to see Ajaokuta come to full light.
Been here for about 10 months. This is a gold mine. I have said this time without number. The potential here is enormous. This company can feed the nations. My background is the oil sector, and from what I can see, you have first-class equipment and some first-class engineers here. What we need is that determination, which I think we have now, to ensure that we can resolve all issues and provide what it requires to make sure that we can get this plant running.
The plan for Ajaokuta initially was to work in phases. In the first phase, which is the take-off phase, it is expected to produce 1.3 metric tons of steel per annum. It is supposed to dovetail into second phase, which is to produce 2.6 metric tons of steel per annum. Eventually, it is to move to phase 3, which will produce 5.2 metric tons of steel per annum. As it is today, however, almost 32 years on, the plant is still to realize phase 1.
The people we started with in that 1981 has gone past the phase 3, and they have even built other steel plants. Like POSCO of South Korea, like India also has, in Bukhara, they have exactly replica of this steel plant when we started together, built by the same Russia, which they have completed, and they have built 2 other more.
All around the plant now, there are telltale evidence of the fervent desire to put Ajaokuta back on track. I was in good company to monitor what is happening differently to Ajaokuta now. Aptly, we begin at the power plant. It is quite the thing to do that a giant industrial city like Ajaokuta should have a power independence. Actually, it has. In fact, there was a time when Ajaokuta was contributing over 40 megawatts of power to the national grid. It looks like a distant memory now. The 2 thermal turbines of Ajaokuta are given a reparation touch now to deliver on power requirement of the steel plant and of the nation.
felt that we should be able to put some power into the national grid and make money from it. And that's what we are doing now.
So how much power are you planning?
Just like we told you, normally a power plant that has been let fallow for a long time, we start gradually. But minimum, we start with 5 megawatts, and then we start building up. Also watching the parameters of our facilities to see that we don't overflog it.
As for the possibility of Ajaokuta contributing chunks of megawatt to national grid at a price, the sole administrator brings an additional insight into the whole matter.
What we intend to do is that as soon as we're resolved issues regarding the first 55 megawatt, we'll go into the second power plant, so that at the end of the day, we have a total of 110 megawatts that we can actually supply. We use that within domestic, and actually whatever remains, we'll send it back to the grid.
The power plant has an intimidating presence. 2 turbines, each with a 55 megawatts capacity. We are witnesses to last-ditch efforts to bring this power source to work again. Workmen work round the clock. Then we are at the central power control room too. This place monitors all the power distribution to all the sections of the complex. It is like the brain box of the power supply trend of the entire Ajaokuta steel plant. We made the short journey from the power plant to the blast furnace. Again, something great is impending here.
It's not working now because one is 99% completed or 1% uncompleted. And what is the uncompletion? It is the instrumentation and the automation.
We stood in particular at the cast house. What comes out from this place is the sinter and the coke. By the way, sinter is the unification of all the raw materials put together in the blast furnace into one piece. In this case, a mixture of iron, limestone, bauxite, and coke. The matter arising now is what is happening to the functionality of the blast furnace, which symbolizes the resumption of full blast activities in Ajaokuta.
It's not working now because one is 99% completed or 1% uncompleted. And what is the uncompletion? It is the instrumentation and the automation.
Yes, the blast furnace is a glutton of hard labor. It is so hardy, whenever it starts work, it does not stop in years. For that reason, to fire it, certain fundamental requirements must be met.
There is a lacuna, I told you. The raw material, 4 months stock must be on ground. Because when you leave this place, you don't run it dry. You don't run it on no power because it's a chemical plant. Chemical plant is where you are handling chemical reactions that are in molten form. If you allow it to run dry, you crack your lining. If you allow power to go, you have your molten metal solidify, and then you lose the whole of the blast furnace. So it's a discipline area. There must be power at all times, and there must be material at all times.
So what are we talking about exactly now?
I'm talking about issues that has made this place not to start working now is all about bringing in raw materials from the mines. And we keep on stressing that the issue here is not that the plant is not completed, it is the issue of external infrastructures.
We have spoken of the vast stretch of space Ajaokuta integrated steel plant occupies. We have not spoken of the wonderful landscape it occupies, lush trees and beautiful water systems. Actually, Ajaokuta requires a monstrous quantity of water to satisfy its industrial needs. In that wise, its location in the foot of River Niger is well thought after and deliberate. Scores of pipes evacuate water from the timeless river to the plant and meet the data on the amount of water the plant requires. Crucially, however, there is a port here to support tugboats. They are a big support for movements of raw materials and factory products and for the transportation of personnel. Our visit to this place is in mid-wet season and the water level is a bit high. Our tour carries us to various workshops and workstations. I marvel at the quantum of equipment Ajaokuta possesses. Staff intervention reinforced that every equipment that's available here has a spare part. The steel plant has capacity to fabricate many of its own machines too. It is a workplace dogma here that nothing is a waste. Every material has a value to add. Eventually, we arrived at a place where there is an engagement, the Ware Road Mill. It is a place for value addition. This place uses steels from the primary plant. Its work is defined and specialized. One of the interesting things I found coming to Ajaokuta integrated steel plant is the fact that all their machines are in good working condition. In fact, what most of the technicians and the support staff are doing here is to ensure that all these machines are working continually and in good order. What do you think if they will get the necessary thing they like it, like the injection of capital, to be able to have all the raw material they needed to work? They always tell me that the market is there, the branding is there, and when they produce, what they are producing is a high-end quality production. Beautiful, if you ask me. I'm here now, where we are having the Ware Road Mill. We were shown around this massive factory with its head of operation engineer John Bello.
But right now what we are doing is that we are trying to put the equipment in workable conditions so that anytime we have billet, that is our raw materials, we can go into production at the least notice.
Mr. Bello reflects on the abundant possibilities in value addition that this mill has and how it can solve many of the challenges this country grapples with.
Ware Road Mill is one of the rolling mills. We have 4 of them. There are other mills. There's a sister mill called light section mill. Yeah. Essentially, the products are for reinforcement of structures, high-rise buildings, stadia, and dams reinforcement. And one thing, the beautiful thing about our product is that we operate at the high end of quality spectrum. Our products are sought in the market. There was a time we were selling our product at West Africa's original market in Ghana, I think Sierra Leone, and it was well accepted.
Bello, what do you need differently to work?
What we need differently to work? Number 1, fund. Number 2, fund. Number 3, fund. Because if the fund is there, then we'll be able to employ people.
When were you last into production?
The last time we produced in this place, it was 2007.
And you still are optimistic if you can get the fund, you can still start work here?
Of course, yes. What we need is, we buy spares, we buy consumables. If we need some modernization, we do it. So if fund, is is the thing we need.
And you know your context, you have your, you have your context, you have your people, everything that you need about this.
Of course, yes. What happens is that if this place is operational, only wire rod mill, our producing at full blast, we can put food on the table of thousands of people, because the workforce, technical people, is about that they'll be working 24 hours, 3 shift, 4 brigade.
We made a point that Ajaokuta Integrated Steel Plant fabricates its own tools. Yes, it also fabricates spare parts for multiple companies at a price. One of the places where this action takes place is the machine tool and shop. It is one of the functional areas of the plant now. It may not be working to the extent its capacity can support, but it is one of the few places where the steel plant drives some money.
Whatever the state of Ajaokuta Integrated Steel Plant today, one thing is beautiful about it. It doesn't go out to look for spare parts. 85% of its spare part needs, they produce them locally. And where they produce them, places like this one. And you know what they call them? Let me read. Machine and tool shop. In this place, they do magic. And they do magic for other companies too. So let me show you what they do differently.
I'm actually overawed by what happened in this place, the amount of hard work and energy put in the work, and the little matter of workplace safety.
While we came in, one of the things we have looked at is safety. We have actually trying to remove safety from engineering department. You discovered that we spent a lot of money buying safety wears, boots, helmets, etc. My background, I come from where safety is first. Every other thing is secondary. So that kind of spirit, that the orientation we're doing to the staff. Yes, we've started. So what we're doing next is to create safety as a department, so that they have unhindered access to all work operations and ensure that the right things are being done.
The fabrication of industrial spare parts by Ajaokuta Steel Plant helps companies save foreign exchange and distances to acquire new spare parts.
International Cement Factory, and they just located us, and we've been doing a lot of spares and repairs for them. This is one of their gear that was destroyed, and we have taken time. Yes, they brought it like this, we dismantled it. We've been able to make a blank, and we've been able to also machine another gear similar to this.
However, this section of the integrated steel plant also fabricates machines that support value chains in agriculture and construction industry. They are the example of this machine.
Nigeria has a lot of possibilities. We can do a lot of things differently. Coming to Ajaokuta Integrated Steel Plant has given us that big idea. This idea of stone crusher. And in a place, in a society where we are trying to promote agriculture as much as we are trying to promote steel development, I think what can happen here can change the way we do a lot of things. Stone crusher, 10 ton, it can be upgraded, it can be made lower. Everything here has been put together here. Even the thinking has been put together here. And it matches the international standard for safety and quality.
For a long time. This is a 10-ton per hour stone crusher, and it was all put together. The flywheel, the jaw crusher, the shaft, the eccentric shaft, the bolts, everything was put together here.
Fabricated and put together.
There is no way we can exhaust the vast possibilities of Ajaokuta Integrated Steel Plant. We visit several areas, including, of course, the forge and fabrication section. Going across many sections, however, I am encouraged by one thing. The staff are in high spirit and are convinced the current effort by the federal government to reposition the plant is realistic and will succeed. The main issue for now is what changes do we expect to see in the immediate future and in long term?
We don't have a choice than to get Ajaokuta to work, because this is going to be the basis for industrialization. The country will have no hope without steel development. We can't go to the next level. This plant has been here for over 3 decades. The same plant that was being built for South Korea has been running. It started with 1 million tons. As at today, they have over 40 million tons capacity of steel. So as a country, I think Ajaokuta is our joker.
There are so many facts about Ajaokuta integrated steel plant that I nearly miss. Like the fact that although most of their machines are dormant for close to 30 years, they are all in good working condition. By that, it also means the only thing required for the industry to fulfill its destiny is the political and economic decision the nation takes today. It is as easy as that.